Okay guys, so in this video we're going to be covering what we're going to be doing scenarios, right? The scenarios that are covered in the repurchase price triangle concept, right? So in this case we have three different types of ordinary share scenarios that they can give you, right? Number one, yeah, right? So in this case we're going to complete this one, and right, so I expect everyone, whoever who's the grade 12 accounting, you should watch this video, right? Meaning this concept here, this share issue, you should identify whether is this scenario 1 or scenario 2 or scenario 3, because in all ordinary share capital there are always three scenarios, right? So please please do justice for yourself and identify which scenario is this for all of them, right? Meaning you can just pause the video and try to attempt and look at my solutions, right? So yeah, now in this case we have three scenarios, right? Now let's interpret this information. So they're saying that we are given the balance sheet, right? Meaning this is our ordinary share capital, right? Our ordinary share capital right here and here. So this is the balance at the beginning and this is the balance at the end, right? So in this case we have authorized share capital of 1,200,000. So remember, authorized share capital is not issued share capital. It is the total shares in which the company can issue for this financial period. So they have not yet issued these shares, right? So on the 1st of March 2020, meaning at the beginning, they issued 70% of the shares, right? Meaning we're going to say these shares multiplied by a percentage, right? Now let me do my ordinary share capital node this side. So my ordinary share capital node is like this. So I have ordinary share capital, right? So it's like this. So we're having what? Shares and what? The amount, total number of shares, right? So remember, information that gets here is at the beginning of the year, right? The beginning of the year. So when you can just say balance at the beginning of the year, right? Or balance brought down whatsoever, right? So in this case they said that we're issuing authorized shares of 1,200,000, right? So I'm gonna say 1,200,000 multiplied by what? 70%. So 1,200,000 times 70% gives me what? 840,000, right? So therefore 840,000 shares are the shares that are issued at the beginning of the year. But what is the value of the amount? So in this case the amount is given here because this is the shares at the beginning. This is the value of the amount of the shares at the beginning of the year. So therefore it's what? 6,874,000. Therefore this is what? 6,874,000. Let me confirm. 874, right? And then again they say that 160,000 shares were issued again. So 160,000 shares were issued again. But in this case, do we have the share price? No, they did not give us the share price. So therefore, for the fact that they did not give me the share price, it means that this is scenario 2. You're going to apply using this is scenario 2, guys. Because if this was scenario 1, they should have given me the share price here, and I was gonna say this multiplied by the share price, I'm gonna get this amount. So how was I gonna get my average price? I was gonna say this amount plus this amount divided by this amount, these two amounts. So I was gonna get my average. So in this case I don't have the price of the additional shares, so therefore in this case scenario 1 doesn't work. So which scenario works? Scenario 2. But let's confirm if it is not scenario 3. Let me come here again. They say that on the 28th on 28th February 2021, 50,000 shares were bought back at 1 rand, 15 above the average share price. So therefore, what is this? This is scenario 2 because they've given us the above price, right? So I'm gonna say minus, so less 50,000, right? Remember, but shares that are bought back reduces what? The value of the shares. So here I can show you what? Issued shares, right? And then here I can say what? Repurchase, right? At what price? At 1,15. Remember guys, when we are given an above price, remember we are going to calculate our average price using the total balances, meaning the total amount divided by the total number of shares. If we are given the above price, we're gonna say this total amount divided by this, I'm getting what my repurchase price, meaning the average price. Now in this case, how will I get my two closing balances? I'm gonna add the side to get the number of shares. So I'm gonna say 840 plus 160,000. Is it 160 or 16,000? Let me confirm. It's 160,000. Yes, 160,000 minus 50,000. I'm getting what? 950,000 shares. Right now, what about this side? This side I can't get them, but I can get them because they've given me in the trial balance. So if I look to my, if I go to my trial balance, I can see the value of my ordinary shares at the end of the year is what? 7,837. 7,837,500. You see, so how will I calculate my average price? So my average price, I'm gonna say 7,837,500 divided by what? 950,000. So therefore, I'm gonna say 7,837,500 divided by what? 950,000. Therefore it's gonna give me 8,25. So therefore 8,25 is my what? Average price. Now how do I get my repurchase price? So my repurchase price, I'm gonna say 50,000 multiplied by 8,25. So 50,000 multiplied by 8,25, which is what? 412,500. Right? And then what about my additional shares issue? So my additional shares issue, I'm gonna say this. Remember, this reduces the value of the shares. So I'm gonna say this plus this minus this. I'm getting this. So 7,837,500 plus 412,500 minus 6,874. So I'm gonna say 137. So therefore, this amount goes where? It goes to the cash flow statement under financing activities, which is what? Proceeds. That's how you calculate your proceeds on what? Shares issued. Right? Now, how do you calculate your repurchase price? I mean, your repurchase shares under what? Cash flow statement. So the way you're going to calculate it, you use your what? You use your triangle, right? So what do you say? You're going to say, okay, this bottom side is my what? Average price, right? Average price, and this is what? Above, right? And then this is my what? Total price. Remember, average price goes to where? Ordinary share capital, and above price goes where? It goes to the what? Retained income, and then this one goes to the what? Cash flow statement under what? Under financing activities. For what? For which item? The repurchase shares. The repurchase, meaning the bought back. Right now, in this case, in order to get your total price, you're gonna say average price plus above price has to give us what? Total price. So in this case, I'm having my what? I'm having my remember, total price is equals to what? Meaning the total share price is equals to average price plus the above price. So I'm looking for my total price. So my total price, I'm gonna say average price is 8,25 plus what is my above price? My above price is here, which is 1,15. So 1,15 is my what? Above price. So therefore gives me what? So therefore 9,40. 9,40 is what? Is the price that is going to where? It's going to the cash flow statement under what? Financing activities for what? Repurchase shares or bought back. So how are you gonna get the total value? You're going to say the number of shares, which is 50,000, you multiply by what? 9 rand comma 40. So 50,000 multiplied by 9 comma 40. This amount goes where? 470,000. It goes under the cash flow statement where uh, shares bought back. Under financing activities, and this is what? Cash outflow, right? And then this one is what? Cash inflow, right? So don't ever get confused, guys. This total price goes to where? Cash flow. This average price goes where? It goes to the ordinary share capital, like this. And then the above price goes where? It goes to the what? Retained income. How you're going to say the above price is what? 1,15. So you're gonna say the total shares multiplied by 1,15. That amount is going to where? Your retained income note under what? Repurchase. Remember, guys, here we're dealing with the repurchases here, right? Now let's go to the other type question, right? So you'll see, guys, these things are very easy, guys. These things are very easy, but otherwise, guys, you have to open your books, sit on your desk and do the work. That's the most important thing, right? Now let's go to the other type question, right? Now another thing, guys, that you need to be aware of, you have to be smart. So if you're given a trial balance and you see that you have both balances for ordinary share capital, you know that you can just take this amount and put it under amount. And when I think we'll assume here, because we'll assume that here is the beginning of the year and here is at the end of the year. We'll assume, right? Because I think I cut off some information here, so I'll assume that this is at the beginning and this is at the end of the year, right? So in this case, at the beginning we issued 500,000 shares, right? And again we issued what? 200,000, meaning at the beginning we issued this, and then during the year we issued this again, right? Additional shares, right? And then here let's come to the repurchase here. So they're saying that 25,000 ordinary shares were repurchased from an estate of a deceased shareholder at 6.30 per share. I remember explaining in the previous video saying that how do you know that something is a total price? They'll just say we repurchase shares at this price. When they say at a certain price, it means that this is your what? Your price that is going to the cash flow statement. You see, so in this case they gave you the average price. There's no need for you to look for the average price. How are you going to get your above price? You're gonna say this amount minus this, then therefore that will be your what? Above price that is going to the what? Retained income. Now in this case, this is just given to you. This is just completely given to you. This is the simplest one. Now let me complete it fast. So I'm gonna create my what? Ordinary share capital note. No, that's bad. So I'm gonna say my ordinary share capital. So this is the what? Shares. This is what? Your amount, right? Remember, this is what? Balance at the what? At the beginning, right? Now at the beginning of the year, we issued how many shares? We issued 500,000 shares, right? 500,000 shares, and we issued again 200,000 shares. Issued again, right? 200,000 shares, and then we repurchased, right? So we repurchased our shares again. So therefore, your 25,000. So we repurchased at what? 25,000. At what price? They given us the share price. Remember, we're looking for the average price. So they already gave us the average price, which is 6.10. So at what? 6.10. So it's already given to us, right? 25,000 multiplied by 6.10, right? So therefore negative 1, I mean negative 1,500, right? And then again we're having our what, our closing balances. So what is the value of the shares at the end? 500,000 plus 200,000 minus 25,000. So therefore I'm having what, 6753. And what about this one? They've given me the trial balance, so I'm gonna take it from here. So I assume this is at the beginning, this is at the end. So 4117, 4117, 4117,500. And then at the beginning it's gonna be 3 million, right? So you're going to say this plus this minus this, you get your additional shares. So 4117,500 plus 152,500 minus 3 million. I'm getting 1,270,000. So in this case, guys, where does this go? This goes to our what? Our cash flow, right? Under financing activities, which is what? Proceeds on what? Shares, right? And then what goes to the repurchased under cash flow? What goes to the repurchase is what? 25,000 multiplied by what? The total price. So already they've given us the total price. They said that the shares were issued at 6,30. So therefore that's our total price. 6,2, there's a 3020, 30. So therefore this is our repurchase price that are, the repurchase shares that are going to the cash flow statement under financing activities. So it's what, 1,575. So yeah, this is an outflow of cash, this is an inflow of cash, guys. Always make sure, guys, don't forget these formulas. Always when you're writing in a question paper, always write this formula down. The total price that is going to the cash flow is equals to the average price, which is this one, plus what, the above price that is going to the retained income note. Always if you write this formula, you're gonna get everything correct. You are gonna get everything correct. Now if we move here again, you can see they've given us the trial balance. They've given me at the beginning ordinary share capital at the end. How am I gonna find it? I'm gonna say this minus this, I'm getting the ordinary share capital at the end of the year, right? And then 60% of the shares was in issue at the beginning, which is 60% of this at the beginning of the year. So therefore shares at the beginning will be 60% of this, and then value at the beginning is gonna be this amount. Shares were repurchased at what, 1,30 more than the average, but meaning this is the above. So you have to ask yourself a question: which scenario are we using here, right? And please, this is for you to do it. If you're watching the video, please do this question, and then when you're done doing the question, please comment below and tell me to release the solution of this question, right? And then for another one here, we have the last question, right? They're saying that we have an ordinary share capital issued at the beginning. They're saying that ordinary share capital was this, comprising shares. So they give us the value of the shares at the beginning and also the number of shares. During the year, we issued this at this. This is the simplest one. How do you calculate your average price? And please, when you're calculating average price, you must specify, is this information going to, like, which information is going to the cash flow statement, and then show your repurchase triangle concept, right? If you want the solutions for these last two ordinary share capital questions, please comment down below. I'll release them. Thank you, guys. Please do those two questions.